Assalamu alaikum students. Today we are going to read a last chapter, that is chapter number 6, Misery. Open your books, page number 165. 165. Have you opened your book? Folktale from Poland. Now students, in this chapter, basically the meaning of misery, it is an abstract noun and it means unhappiness, great unhappiness. But in this story, it's a folk tale. Obviously, it is not real. So, in this story, misery is used as a person. Okay, the term personification, like misery is used as a person. Like the writer has told that misery was living in the house of a man and he became poor because of misery, because misery made his life terrible and difficult to live. Okay, because the meaning of misery is unhappiness. So the poor man's life was full of difficulties and he was very unhappy because misery was living in his house. Okay, who will start reading? Kinza, start reading.
Misery. In a land far away there once lived a rich man in a fine mansion and a poor man who dwelt in a
Dwelt,
hovel.
dwelt, dwelt in a hovel.
The rich
Well,
man lived well. The rich man lived well, but his neighbor's life was hard and wretched. For Misery lived in his house. Misery sat in the chimney corner. He made the poor man's fire smoke and burn low so that his house was never warm. Misery
warm.
sat at the poor's Misery sat at the poor man's table and breathed upon his food so that what little meat he had was stuck and tasteless.
Okay, beta is breath. How do you pronounce it? Breath. Okay, and it's warm, warm. Okay, continue. Paragraph 2.
Then one spring morning the wife looked out at the earth newly waking
Waking.
and the flowers coming into bloom. She thought our life would not be so very bad if only Misery did not live with us. So she spoke kindly to her husband and asked him if they could find some way to drive Misery out. Her husband was touched by her words and he sat and thought. Then he went into his woodshed and picked up a wide plank of wood. He called to his wife and together they set together together they set out
Set
into
out,
the
set out, set out
set
into
out
the
into the wild
wild
woods.
wood.
After
After,
they had walked some way, the man looked back and saw Misery following them. They reached a deep stream, the husband put down the plank for his wife to walk across. Quickly he followed her, pulling up the plank before Misery could reach it. But when he glanced back again, he saw that Misery had moved a huge tree trunk so that he could cross the stream and was still following behind.
okay. First I will explain till here, then the other student will read. Paragraph 1. In a land far away, there once lived a rich man in a fine mansion. Mansion is a very big house, okay? And a poor man who dwelt means lived, in a hovel. Hovel is a small hut nearby. So once upon a time, there lived a rich man in a very big house and a poor man who was living in a small hut. The rich man lived well, but his neighbor's life was hard and wretched. Wretched means completely destroyed, miserable, difficult. For misery lived in his house. The rich man had a nice and healthy life. He had money, he had everything. But his neighbor's life means the poor man's life was very difficult. Why his life was difficult? Because misery was living in his house. Misery sat, now they have told you what did misery do? Misery sat in the chimney corner. He made the poor man's fire smoke and burn low so that his house was never warm. Okay, he breathed upon the food, and so whatever they were having to eat, it was tasteless. So that what little meat he had was tough and tasteless. Paragraph 2. Then one spring morning, the wife looked out at the earth newly waking and the flowers coming into bloom. She thought, our life would not be so very bad if only misery did not live with us. So then it was springtime, and the wife was looking at the flowers sadly. She started thinking that if misery would not be living with us, our life would not have been so bad. So she spoke kindly to her husband and asked him if they could find some way to drive misery out. Her husband was touched by her words and he sat and thought. So she said to her husband if there would any possible way that they could drive misery out of their house. So her husband started thinking. Then he went into his woodshed. Woodshed is just like a storeroom where you can keep your planks. Planks is a piece of wood. That is a plank. I can show you the picture. These are the wooden planks. Okay. So he went into his woodshed, and what did he do? He picked up a wide plank of wood, a wide big piece of wood. He called to his wife, and together they set out into the wildwood. So they started it. He took the plank and they started moving towards the jungle, towards the wood. After they had walked some way, the man looked back and saw Misery following them. But Misery was still after them. He was following them. He could not let them go on their own. They reached a deep stream, and the husband put down the plank for his wife to walk across. Quickly, he followed her, pulling up the plank before Misery could reach it. So they reached a stream, and the husband put the plank over the stream so that his wife could cross the stream. And then he quickly pulled back the plank so that Misery could not follow. But what happened? When he looked back, he saw that Misery had moved a huge tree trunk for crossing the stream, and he was still following behind. Yes. Now, Musaf, start reading. Yes.
Paragraph 3. The poor man knew of an old hollow tree deep in the wood. When he reached it, he put down the plank, cut a branch from the tree, and began to shape some wood
Shape
and
some.
wedges. Misery came closer to see what he was doing. I can't stand living with misery any longer, the man said loudly to his wife. I'm going to shut myself up in this hollow tree where he can never get at me again. You must drive in the wedges, wife, to, to hold the plank fast and keep him out. I will do it, husband, said the wife, for she saw that her husband was setting a trap. Misery could not bear to see the poor man escape him, so at the last moment he sprang into the hollow tree just as the man was climbing in. At once the man jumped out again, and with his wife's help put the plank in place and drove the wedges home. When it was done, the poor man and his wife looked at one another and laughed for the first time in many years. Paragraph 4. With
First,
misery gone, the couple
first let
walked.
me explain. Musaf, 1 second, better. First, let me explain this. Okay. The poor man knew of an old hollow tree deep in the wood. When he reached it, he put down the plank, cut a branch from the tree, and began to shape some wooden wedges. So what happened? The old man, he knew about a tree which had a place, empty hollow. Okay? So when he reached the place, he put down the plank and he cut a branch from the tree and he began to shape it into the size of the hollow tree. Misri came closer to see what he was doing. So Misri, he came closer. He wanted to see what the poor man was doing. I can't stand living with Misri any longer. So the poor man, he had a plan in his mind. He wanted to deceive Misri. He wanted to shut Misri inside the hollow tree. So he said that I can't stand living with misery any longer. The man said loudly to his wife, I'm going to shut myself up in this hollow tree where he can never get at me again. You must drive in the wedge's wife to hold the plank fast and keep him out. With the wedges are the stool. Can you see in the picture? In this picture, you can see that the man is having a tool in his hand. That is a wedge. Okay. So he said to his wife that I cannot stand any longer. I'm very much and extremely tired, and I cannot live with misery any longer. So I'm going to shut myself up in this hollow tree, and then you can take the wedges back home. I will do it, husband, said the wife, for she saw that her husband was setting a trap. The wife understood that her husband was setting a trap for misery. Okay. Misery could not bear. Bear means tolerate. Misery could not bear to see the poor man escape him. So at the last moment he sprang. Sprang means jumped. So misery, he was looking what the poor man was doing and he could not stand it any longer. So at the last moment when the poor man was about to jump into the hollow tree, misery jumped into the hollow tree just as the man was climbing in. At once, okay, beta, I'll send you the notes. He sprang into the hollow tree just as the man was climbing in. At once the man jumped out again and with his wife's help put the plank in place and drove the wedges off. So the man quickly, he jumped out again and he quickly put the plank and then put the nails so that misery could not escape. When it was done, the poor man and his wife looked at one another and they laughed for the first time in many years. Okay? Yes, Kaleem?
With misery gone, the couple walked home hand in hand, and it seemed that already their luck was changing, for they found a purse with some gold coins lying in the road. Soon the poor man's house was a very different place. The fire burned brightly, the food tasted good, the vegetables in their garden flourished,
Flourish.
and they had enough to sell at the market. The hens laid more eggs, and soon they made enough money to buy a sheep. The wife sang as she swept the house clean with misery gone. Life was worth living at last, but the man was still afraid that misery might escape from the hollow tree and come back to plug
Plague them,
the
plague them, plague
plague,
them. Hmm.
plague them. So each week he went to the tree to make sure that the wedges were still tight, and if any seemed loose, he would hammer them in again. Now
Okay.
that is
Okay, beta. Now let me explain. Okay. With misery gone, the couple walked home hand in hand, and it seemed that already their luck was changing. Now they shut misery in the hollow tree. They became very, very happy because misery was gone and their luck started changing. Because when they were coming back home, they found a purse. It was full of gold coins with some gold coins lying in the road. Soon the poor man's house was a very different place. The fire burnt brightly, food tasted good, their vegetables flourished, and they had enough to sell at the market. They had so many vegetables that they started selling the vegetables in the market. The hens laid more eggs and soon they made enough money to buy a sheep. The wife sang as she swept the house clean. With misery gone, life was worth living at last. So their life became valuable, their life became extremely comfortable for them. But the man was still afraid. But the poor man, was still afraid that misery might escape from the hollow tree and would come back and started living uh, in their house to plague them. Plague is like an infection also, to infect their life or to make their life difficult. So what did he do? Every week he went to the tree to make sure that the wedges were still tight, and if any seemed loose he would hammer them in again. Now the last paragraph. Who is going to read the last paragraph? G. The last paragraph. Yes, Muzammil. You have come late. Yes, Muzammil. And Tahir, open your books, page 166, Oxford Progressive English. You can see the page number on your screen, page 166. Okay? Now start reading. If you have opened your books, page 166. Yes. Muzammil or Tahir, who wants to read? Unmute your mic. Yes. Ji, Muzammil. Hurry up. Paragraph 5, page 166. Yes. Okay. Yes, Mustaf, you can read.
Paragraph 5. Now the rich man had noticed how his poor neighbor prospered.
Prospered.
prospered. He has found some treasure, he thought, and he goes into the wood each week to take a little more gold from his store. So the next time the poor man went into the wood, the rich man followed him, watching from the bushes. He saw the poor man hammering away at the wedges. Ah, thought the rich man. So that is where he keeps his treasure. Although
Treasure.
he was his treasure,
Wealthy.
al- although he was wealthy, he was always greedy for more gold. He waited until the poor man had gone and quickly knocked out the wedges to see what was hidden in the hollow tree. And at once misery leapt out. He was so pleased to
Leaped out. Leaped out.
leaped out. He was so pleased to be free that he followed the rich man home, and from that day lived in his house instead. For riches are no guard against misery. It takes love and kindness and sometimes a little cunning to keep misery at bay.
Okay. I'm going to explain paragraph 5. Now the rich man had noticed how his poor neighbor prospered. The rich man was rich. He was wealthy, but he was greedy for more money. He wanted to have more money. Okay, so he was noticing that how his poor man's life changed, and he was prospering. Okay, he was becoming wealthy. So he began thinking, he has found some treasure, he thought. So he began to think that the poor man had found some treasure. And he goes into the wood each week to take a little more gold from his store. And he thought that the poor man is going to the wood each week just to take the money or the gold coins from the store from where he kept his money. So the next time the poor man went into the wood, the rich man followed him. So the rich man, he began following the poor man. When the next week he went into the wood, watching from the bushes, he saw the poor man hammering away at the wedges. Ah, thought the rich man. So that is where he keeps his treasure. So the rich man thought, oh, this is the place, this is the tree where the poor man is keeping his treasure. Although he was wealthy, he was always greedy for more gold. He waited until the poor man had gone and quickly knocked out the wedges to see what was hidden in the hollow tree. He didn't know about misery, so he quickly knocked out the wedges. He quickly pulled back the plank, and who came out? Misery. And at once, misery leaped out. Leaped out means jumped out. He was so pleased to be free. So, misery was extremely happy and excited that he was free again. So he started following the rich man home, and from that day lived in his house instead. And he started living at rich man's house. For riches are no guard against misery. It takes love and kindness and sometimes a little cunning to keep misery at bay. So the riches you cannot protect. Obviously, your money you have to. Sometimes when because of unhappiness, because of misery, it takes away everything in your life, whether money, whether kindness, whether love. Okay? So students, we have done this chapter. You have to do its summary. Okay? So first of all, we are going to do the question answers. Page number 167. These are 6 question answers. I will just tell you the paragraph and then you have to mark the answers on your own. Question number 1 is in paragraph 1. Question number 2 is in paragraph 2. 3 is in paragraph 3. 4 is in paragraph 4. 5 is in 5 and 6 is paragraph 5. Okay, according to the questions, the answers in the paragraphs. Yes, Kaleem? Yes, Kaleem?
Teacher, you will not send their notes.
Beta, there's so much noise at your back. Okay, Beta, I'm going to send the notes, but right now you have to mark the answers, okay? Some of the
Okay.
answers are very easy, so you can easily do it on your own. I'm giving you
Okay.
2 to 3 minutes time, mark the answers. Ji Musaf,
The marked answers.
you have marked the answers?
Yes.
Okay. So you can tell me answer number 1.
Okay.
First read the question, page 167.
The misery sat in the chimney corner. He made the poor man's fire smoke and burn low, so that his house was never warm. Misery sat at the poor man's table and breathed upon his food, so that what little meat he had was tough and tasteless.
Correct answer. Very good, Musaf. Now please look on your screen as well as in your book. You can see paragraph 1, 4th line. You have to start from 4th line. Misery sat in the chimney corner. He made the poor man's fire smoke and burn low, so that his house was never warm. Misery sat at the poor man's table and breathed upon his food, so that what little meat he had was tough and tasteless. Okay? Marked everybody? Now who will tell me question number 2? Answer number 2, who will tell me? How did the poor man try to get across the stream without misery? It is in paragraph 2. And how did his attempt fail? How did he try to cross the stream? And why did his attempt fail? How did his attempt fail? Other than Musaf, who will tell this answer? Kinza? You have also read this, and Kaleem, you have also read this. Ji. Yes, Musaf.
They reached a deep stream, and the husband put down the plank for his wife to walk across. Quickly he followed her, pulling up the plank before Misery could reach it. But when the glanced back again, he saw that Misery had moved a huge tree trunk so that he could cross the stream and was still following behind.
Answer is correct, but you have to write in your own words like that. Okay, how did the poor man try to get across the stream without misery? He tried to get across the stream using the plank. Okay, or you can say you can write it like that. Okay, he put down the plank to cross the stream. Okay, he put down the plank to cross the stream. This answer first you will write. And how did his attempt fail? His attempt failed because Misery moved a huge tree trunk so that he could cross the stream. His attempt failed because he saw that Misery had moved a huge tree trunk so that he could cross the stream and was still following behind. Okay? How did the poor man and his wife succeed in deceiving Misery? This answer I will send you, so don't write it down. Question number 4. In what ways was the couple's life better after they had got rid of Misery? How did the couple's life improve? It's very easy. Paragraph 4. G. Kinza.
With misery gone, the couple walked home hand in hand, and it seemed that already their luck was changing, for they found a purse with some gold coins lying in the road. Soon the postman's house was a very different place. The fire burned brightly, the food tasted good, the vegetables in their garden flourished, and they had enough to sell all at all the
At the
market.
mart. Okay. You can write it, you can start from here. They found a purse. Don't write with misery gone, the couple walked home better, because some answers you have to change a little bit. You can start writing from here. They found a purse with some gold coins lying in the road, or you can write here on their way back home. They found a purse with some gold coins. Then their life changed. The fire burned, the food tasted good, they had more vegetables, and they also bought a sheep in this way. Okay, few things which made their life better. Question number 5. What does the rich man think has happened to the couple? Very easy answer. What does he think happened to the couple? Yes, Kaleem. Yes, Kaleem. What does the rich man think has happened to the couple? What does he think?
Now the rich man had noticed how his poor.
What does he think? Beta is so easy answer. Don't you know कि what does he think?
आंसर होता ना और से सुना ही नहीं
Yes, Musaf, you tell me the answer.
He has found some. He has found some treasure. He thought.
Correct. So you are going to write the rich man thought that the poor man has found some treasure. The rich man thought that the poor man has found some treasure. The last question, question number 6. The rich man had plenty of money. So why do you think he wanted more? Why? Very simple answer. Why do you think he wanted more? Why do you think he wanted more? Yes, Kinza?
Although he was wealthy, he was always greedy for more gold. Waited until the poor man had gone and quickly knocked out the wedges to see what was hidden in the hollow tree.
only you are going to write कि although the rich man was wealthy, he wanted more because he was greedy. He was greedy for money. He wanted to have more gold coins. He wanted to have more gold coins. Okay. Now students, this chapter is finished. You are going to write down its summary. You will summary how you are going to write it down. Okay, this is a folk tale. It is about it teaches us a moral lesson. It is about a poor man and a rich man. Misery was living in poor man's house, and it made the life difficult for the poor man and his wife. So one spring morning, the wife and the husband decided to drive Misery out of their house. So the poor man, he thought of a plan. He went into his bed shed and he took plank. From there, Misery started following the poor man, and the poor man then reached a wood. There was a hollow tree inside the wood. The poor man pretended to shut himself in the hollow tree, and Misery could not bear to see him escaping. So, at the last moment, he jumped into the hollow tree, and the poor man shut him inside. Then their life changed. Their life became comfortable. They were happy. They had more vegetables, and they had money also. They found a purse with some gold coins also. So their life changed when Misery left their house. But the rich man, he became greedy. He thought that the poor man has found some treasure, so he followed the poor man when he was going to the wood. So, and when the poor man went away, the rich man pulled out the wedges, and Misery jumped out, and then from that day on, he started living with the rich man. This is the summary. Beta, in the summary, you have to use the third person pronoun like he, she, it, and they. We have completed our pronoun chapter. Okay, right now, after completing this, I'm going to start asking you the definitions of pronoun. Okay. So you have to use the third person pronoun. Summary is written in past tense, simple past tense. You have to write it. Do not write any dialogues in the summary. Okay. Now tell me, have you written summary of revenge, or shall I send you? I am unmuting all of you. Please tell me. Have you written the summary of revenge, or shall I send you?
No.
No. Okay. One more thing which I want to tell you is that please complete all your notes. The chapters which you are not having, please tell me so that I can send the notes to you people. Like one student has told me that you are not having the notes or from the diary of Samuel Pepys. I'm going to send you the notes. Or what you can do, right now we have time, 6 minutes, so you can mark the answers. Shall I tell you the answers? You can mark the answers in the book. Is it okay, Kinza?
Teacher, just 1 second.
Okay. We have 6 minutes now, so you can mark the answers. Okay, now I'll tell you the page number. All of you students, open your books. It's page number. Yes, page number 58. Have you opened 58? Page number 58.
Yes.
Okay. One by one, I'm going to tell you the answers. Please mark the answers. What did Pete see when he went down to the water side? Okay. Yes. He saw, write down the answer. He saw a lamentable fire. Lamentable. Lamentable fire. He saw a lamentable fire. Full stop. Everybody was trying. Everybody was trying to remove their goods to remove their gourds into little boats. Full stop. Till here. Till here. Have you done?
Teacher, into little.
Boats. Into little boats. Everybody was trying to remove their goods into little boats. Done? Okay. Question number 2. Which details tell you about the effect of the fire on living creatures apart from human beings? It's, yes, paragraph 1. Paragraph 1, second last line. Second last line. Paragraph 1, second last line. The poor pigeons were loath to leave their houses and hovered about the balconies till some of them burned their wings and fell down. Till here, the last two lines. The poor pigeons were loath to leave their houses and hovered about the balconies till some of them burned their wings and fell down. Have you marked? Have you marked, Kaleem, Musaf?
Yes, teacher.
Yes. Teacher,
Okay.
the poor pigeons till then and fell down.
Till fell down. Till fell down. And fell down. Marked?
Yes.
Question number 3. What made Peeps weep in his diary entry for 2nd September? Okay, now you have to go from, yes, paragraph 2, line number 2. Paragraph 2, line number 2. It is written, we saw the fire as an entire arc of flame from this to the other side of the bridge, and an arc about above a mile long. It made me weep to see it. This is the answer. But how will you start? Line number 2. When he saw, you have to cut we and write when he saw the fire as an entire arc of flame from this to the other side of the bridge, an arc above a mile long, this made him weep. This made him weep. Till here. Me will be changed into him. Marked?
Yes.
Okay. What could Peeps hear on that day, 2nd September? It's very easy. Second paragraph, third last line. He could hear a horrid noise the flames made and the cracking of houses at their ruin. Third last line. It is written and a horrid noise. So you will write, you will cut and you will write he could hear. He could hear a horrid noise the flames made and the cracking of houses at their ruin, till ruin. Marked?
Yes.
Everybody? Okay. Question number 5. Why did Peeps and his friends dig holes in the ground? They dug holes. They dug holes to bury. To bury.
Could you please repeat again?
They dug. D-U-G dug holes to bury. To bury. B-U-R-Y. To bury their belongings like like office papers. Office papers, comma, wine, W-I-N-E, wine and Parmesan cheese, Parmesan cheese, P-A-R-M-E-S-A-N, Parmesan cheese, okay? They dug holes to bury
Teacher,
their
why?
belongings. They dug holes to bury their belongings like office papers, comma,